I was in such despair and such a dark space that my yoga practice was just not cutting it. I could not pull out of that dark space. And then I found Himalayan Kriya, which is where my somatic practice comes from. It woke me up again. It reminded me of hope. It brought me hope in my life. And it brought me out of the biggest depression, the biggest turmoil that I was in. And now it brings me into the greatest inspiration and fulfillment.
Welcome back to the Liberate Your Bliss podcast. I'm your host, Chelsi, and today's conversation is one I've been really looking forward to because my guest and I walk very similar paths, not just in what we teach, but in how we've learned it. And Anne-Marie Kramer is a breathwork and somatics coach and teacher who also works at the Path here in Bali, and her work centers around helping people release stored energy from the body, the emotions, the tensions, and survival patterns that don't respond to mindset alone. And what I love about Anne-Marie's approach is that it's grounded, it's nervous system aware, and it honors the intelligence of the body instead of overriding it. So this conversation is for anyone who's done a lot of inner work but still feels something stuck beneath the surface, in the breath, in the chest, the hips, in the voice. And as you listen, I want you to notice what your body is responding to, because healing never starts in the head. It starts in the sensations of the body. So let's dive in. Thank you so much for coming on. I've been dying to hear your story for a long time. Anne-Marie, what would you say that you even do?
I think I just teach what I need to learn the most for myself. So I think all the work that I do is what I'm teaching myself. So I'm just being in that space to continue to evolve so I can be a better mom to my kids.
Beautiful. That's the big driving factor, is that?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a big factor. I would say that kids are not my everything. Like a lot of parents be like, this is my change my whole life. This is my everything. I would say kids are not my everything. They're a massive part of my life. I do think that I'm here on this planet for a purpose. And I'm in alignment with that purpose right now.
Beautiful. And I know everyone that I talk to absolutely loves your classes. How did they come about, the somatic work that you're doing?
Well, I've been teaching yoga since the beginning of lifetime. It feels like a lifetime. I started teaching yoga over 25 years ago. And yoga brought me home to my body. And I was really grateful for that because I didn't even know I wasn't in my body until I started doing yoga. I've been a fitness competitor, bodybuilding competitions, like exercise physiology degree, like all the health things. And then when I found yoga, I came home to myself. Breathwork and somatics came after the devastation of what happened in California. When I lost everything, lost or walked away, either one, whichever you want to say. I was in such despair and such a dark space that my yoga practice was just not cutting it. Even I was doing Vipassana meditation, I was doing the things, and I could not pull out of that dark space. And then I found Himalayan Kriya, which is where my somatic practice comes from. The weirdest practice of them all. It woke me up again. It reminded me of hope. It brought me hope in my life, and it brought me back to myself. And it brought me out of the biggest depression, the biggest turmoil that I was in. And now it brings me into the greatest inspiration and fulfillment.
Which is beautiful. So the pain became your purpose.
Yeah,
Yeah. Like
cliche as it is. Sometimes I'm like, okay.
Yeah, so let's talk about that. So yoga. How did you get into yoga? Growing up in the Midwest, was yoga big there?
You would be surprised. Cleveland is fucking amazing yoga. Like really amazing yoga.
Tell me more.
We found Baron Baptiste. He's from Boston. He had studios in Boston.
Yeah.
And like Baron was our first teacher. I actually found Ashtanga yoga first. I was always a gymnast and into calisthenics as my training. And so my girlfriend's like, hey, you got to try this thing called yoga. And I had done hatha yoga in college, which was the only reason I went because there was a hot chiropractor that used to go. So I was like, yeah, I'll go to yoga.
Love the honesty.
I was like, if he's going to yoga, I'm going to yoga. But it didn't really hook me because it was kind of boring to me at that time. I was obviously an athlete, so I was doing high intensity stuff. And then she took me to Ashtanga. And because of all the binds and the crazy practice, I was like, wow, this is amazing. It was just a physical practice for me. And then I found power yoga. And through that practice, that's when I came home to myself. Like, I was like, oh, wait, this is actually not a physical practice.
Now let's talk about why you were running from yourself in the first place. Like, did you disassociate? Was that your pathway?
I love that you say I was running from myself because that is so true. Like
yeah.
that, I was running I'm a runner. I was a runner and I am a runner. I will run as far away. I mean, I live in Bali.
Game recognizes game, yeah?
Yeah, exactly. It's funny when I started doing yoga in the beginning because it was a physical practice for me. I would get up in Shavasana and go for a 5-mile run because Shavasana was a waste of time. What was I running from? My dad was super abusive, like physically, mentally, and I think I was running from the pain.
Mm.
If I sat still, I felt the pain.
So you moved all the time.
Yeah, I was on the move.
Yeah.
My body was always moving. My mind was always moving.
Mm-hmm. Go, go, go.
Go, go, go.
Chronic burnout. The American dream.
I didn't even know it was burnout. It
No,
was just
exactly.
the way. I was like, what do you mean burnout? This is just the way we live. Yeah.
And it's, when that energy, when we're in that fight or flight, right? When we're running from our own pain, movement is the medicine, because without movement, like let's say the only time I allowed myself to rest was when I was sick.
Yeah.
And when my body actually physically shut down. Otherwise, I was go, 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 go all day, back to back. And I still have to catch those tendencies to be like, take a breath. Where are you trying to run to? Because I noticed I was really just trying to catch my own tail. Yeah. No city that I moved to ever, I was same as you, Boston to California, California to Hawaii, Hawaii to California, California back to Boston. Everywhere I went, trauma stayed the same. Yeah. And
wherever you go, there you are.
Right, exactly. Yeah.
Can't outrun yourself.
Yeah. So when you left from Cleveland, where did you go next?
California.
And that was chasing what?
The sun.
Reasonable. Yeah.
I knew before I'd ever moved to California, I was Californian. I just knew it. From a young age, I was like, I belong in California. And then at 24, I went to California my first time. I'm like, I definitely belong. I knew that I was a Californian. I just knew it. And so then I moved there at 34 and opened my first yoga studio.
So Sacramento, 3 yoga studios. How was that?
It was awesome. Like, I love business. Like, I'm an entrepreneur at heart. I've opened many businesses. I love the business side of things. I love the creativity. I love the drive of it. It's fun for me, putting numbers together and making things work and just creating brand stories. All that stuff is really fun. I loved the business aspect of it and creating something that was really quite amazing. It was like the first massive yoga studio in California. I mean, we had 50 to 75 people every single class.
Wow.
My teacher trainings had 50 people every year.
That's incredible.
Yeah, it was definitely amazing.
And were you still in the pharmaceutical industry then?
No, I had left the pharmaceutical industry to open a yoga studio. I was really lucky because my ex-husband was a doctor and I hated pharma. Like, I could cry every day. I'm like, this is wrong. I know this is wrong, but then I make so much money. I have so much freedom, the golden handcuffs.
Got it.
Got a company car, computer, expense account that was ridiculous. It was so hard to leave, but I knew it was wrong. And I would just cry every day. And at that point, my husband said, quit your job, take my money, open a yoga studio. I don't care. Just be happy. Keep your money. Use my money. And I did it out of just pure pleasure. And he hated medicine too. And I said, I ran the numbers. I go, when we see 60 students in a day, you can quit being a doctor. The first time we hit 60 students was in the second month of being open.
No way.
He quit medicine. We made more money in yoga than we did in his income as a doctor and mine as a pharmaceutical combined.
How beautiful is that?
But I wasn't doing it for the money. It just came with it. Well, we also hit it at the right time,
Well, and that's also, what they say about when you start living from the heart space, the money just comes, right? Because we're attracting it by being in that vibration. So when all of that went down, millions started pouring in.
Yep.
How was that?
Living my fucking best life.
Yeah. So what did you start to do?
Louis Vuittons for my friends. I mean, seriously, I was living, we were living in an amazing house, snowboards, the greatest thing about Sacramento is you're so close to everything. I was popping over it, going snowboarding all the time, backpacking, traveling the world, just having so much fun. And it was just fun. I had it was free. At my studios, I made them self-sufficient. So I trained my teachers to be better than me. So when I left, it was passive income. I mean, it was a lot of work, of course, but I loved it. So it was really fun.
So what happened?
Then I came to Bali. Mm-hmm. Isn't that how all the stories start?
Yeah.
Came to Bali. I fell in love with Bali and started changing. Went to Bali and Burning Man the first back-to-back in the same year, and everything shifted for me. I saw the world in a new lens. I was like, wait, what? You can live like, wait, what? You can be like, wait, what? That's available? I didn't even know that was possible that you could do those things. And now it's like, that's what I want to do. And I think I shifted a lot. And coming back to Sacramento, which is a very conservative town, I think I became too much for them, actually. I was becoming so free that I think it was too confronting for them. And I didn't have the finesse at that time at that age, at that time in my life, to be more like introduce it slowly, like that. And I think it rubbed a lot of people wrong in that way. And I wanted to move to Bali, and I kept telling my husband, like, let's move to Bali. He's like, we can't move to Bali. We have a yoga business. We have a huge business. We have a house here. We have kids here. We can't do that. Then COVID hit. Slammed our business down. I'm like, we're moving to Bali.
Beautiful.
And yeah, here we are.
Yeah, it's wild. I have such a similar trajectory. I was in the pharmaceutical industry. Burning Man is a big chapter in my book I'm publishing, because I was like, wait a minute, we can actually live like this. It was the happiest 10 days of my life. The temple changed my entire life. I felt like God talked to me and called me into something bigger. And the pandemic happened the next year. And I was living in Hawaii during the pandemic, and I was so free. I was hiking. I was in nature every day. I loved that everything was shut down. I was outside in the sun and just being in nature and journaling and all these things. And everyone else in the West was going batshit crazy, fighting with each other, arguing over politics. Like, Facebook was horrible. Everyone started, doing weddings for $100,000 with 6 people with masks on. It was fucking nightmare. And I was like, how is everyone having such a shit time? And I'm having this amazing time. But then they forced me to work on a COVID vaccine study. And they were manipulating the data right before my eyes. And I refused to be the one that signed off on the forms. And I said, I'm not doing this. This is wrong. I said, they didn't die from COVID. They didn't die from COVID because I was going to the hospitals and seeing the data myself.
What was your background in that then?
So I was a clinical research. I was a CTM and a associate director. I want to see what I end at. I ended at VP of clinical operations. So I was running the clinical studies, and I had monitors going to the hospitals. And I was like, they're manipulating all this data. So I refused to sign off on any of it, and they fired me, which was the first time that it was actually great, because I was like, you know what, I'm not working. I'm not getting the vaccine. I hate this shit. It's wrong. And I lost so many friends. I got kicked out of my best friend's wedding, everything, because I was like, this virus is fucking bullshit. You guys are being sold a program that's not true. And I couldn't do it. And then now and I'm still in there, but I only work for things that I agree with in very small companies, and I fight the FDA. So my consulting job now is going to the FDA and saying, we don't need this assay. We don't need this test. This is unnecessary just to gain money, So I actually spend my time now fighting the FDA because I can't fucking stand them.
Yeah.
Hate to say that out loud, but it is a joke.
Yeah, well, some other person says trust the science, and I'm like, you have no idea. I sold that science. I was trained in pharmaceutical, how to sell science.
Yep.
And it was a lie. That's what killed my soul. I was like, I cannot do this.
Yeah, it's wild. So like right now, I'm working on this really cool project where they're using bovine collagen to actually build up rather than using fillers. And I'm like, cool, that makes sense to me. I can get behind that. Love filler. Want to make sure it's good for us. Using bovine collagen makes sense to replace it rather than putting in, chemicals and things. So I'll work for a company like that and help them move through. And that makes me still able to kind of make that pharmaceutical money, but in a way that I feel ethical. Does that make sense?
That's amazing.
But then moved to Bali. My company that I was working for found out I was here, fired me. Everything fell to shit. And then I had to go full in on my energy business. And that was in February. And I had 40K months after that, after I just went all in. So crazy.
Yeah.
Very similar stories too. But COVID, pandemic, with what happened at your studio, people were pretty awful to you?
You could say that. I was, during COVID, in the beginning, financially, I was fucked because my landlord was trying to sue me for $1.6 million. I'd wake up in the middle of the night with fucking panic attacks because he was just like, yeah, as soon as you guys get up and running, you can pay me back all their back rent, So I was freaking out because I had lost my income. And that was really stressful because I was still paying my employees because I wanted to be a good person. And, like I said, it was a minimum, just like base $50K a month to run my studios, just to not even paying staff, it was just, California's expensive, but we're doing good financially. But at this point now we have no income. Online just doesn't cut it, at that point, like what we were bringing in. And so I was panicking at that part. But during the fun times, because everything was closed, I was taking women on full moon hikes, with doing mushrooms out in the middle of desolation wilderness. We went to Lake Tahoe, watched the moon rise over the lake with no boats on. I mean, fucking crazy bullshit, like fun
and
shit.
You could actually see the stars.
Yes!
It was like the best ever because everyone was inside.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. We were having a great time.
Yeah.
But I had taken these women to desolation wilderness, and we always pulled tarot cards, and I pulled the ruin card that night. And the next morning I came out, we hadn't had cell service for 3 days, and everyone in my studio, the woman that I worked with side by side for 14 years, next to me, every teacher training, quit on social media, said I will not be associated with Zuda Yoga. I will not be associated with the way they stand for political things. And once she quit, all the chips started to fall. Everyone started calling me all these names, and, and everyone quit. They just called quit my business. And I lost everything, like most 90%. Yeah.
Wow.
Called all kinds of things on social media. It was before cancel culture was actually named cancel culture. That's what happened.
They canceled you.
Yeah.
Why have we gotten so separate in this world?
It's the narrative. I mean, diversity is bullshit. There's only unity. Like, we are the fabric of each other. There isn't even any diversity. It doesn't even exist. It doesn't even. Yeah, it's troubled times now. I think people are just confused, and they're so stressed, like they're just so stressed that they don't know what to believe anymore, because they're also disconnected from themselves. We've gone further away from ourselves, and when you connect to yourself, then you remember who you are, and then we can connect to each other. But when you're disconnected from yourself, it's not even possible to have that conversation with people.
And when you knew what being connected to your body was like from yoga. So when you felt disconnected from it and that depression came on and you're losing your business, the tower moment and everything's crumbling, how did breathwork find you?
Well, I was already teaching breathwork.
Okay.
I had already found breathwork. So I had been teaching breathwork since 2011. So a long time, because my teacher brought it in holotropic breathwork into my studio, and then I started teaching it in a very different ways than what I do now. And then my first time to Bali, I experienced more of the a direct breathwork practice, and then I brought it back to California. I went and did trainings, and then brought it back to my studios in California. So I was already teaching breathwork. Okay. It's the somatic piece that really shifted me: the Himalayan Kriya, the releasing of the trauma out of the body through the shaking, the tapping, the expression that shifted. And then I put those two together. So I teach those two together, somatics and breathwork, because I clear the system with the somatics, and then you're just ready for the breathwork. Yeah, just like everything's
So the
open.
somatics opens the body.
Yeah.
Gets rid. Yep. And it's funny because what they're doing wrong with Kundalini is that they're not clearing the body before they're running that current. And people are literally looking like they're having seizures because they haven't released the trauma before that current's going through. I think that's why everything looks a little wonky, and why you're probably not even allowing that to flow through, because it's a kind of a strange practice, is what I've seen.
Well, you're a Kundalini. You did Kundalini activation, yeah. I've never had an experience with that other than like, oh, it was a really nice nap,
Yeah, so it's the way I was taught, and the way that I'm teaching is completely different because of how I saw. So at the end of a class, if you're leaving more dysregulated than you came, your teacher's done something wrong. You should be leaving connected to your body, fully present. And what I was noticing was people were running these sessions, everyone's leaving all disoriented, disassociated, and I was like, this is wrong. So I stopped. And then I started working with Kundalini by myself in my own practice. And I sat with her every day. I call her a her. Yeah. And I was moving her through my body, and I was seeing what was going on. I was asking her how to work with her. What is the proper technique? How do you attune someone? And through that 9 months of just sitting with that, I developed what I teach now. So it's not what I was taught. It's actually my own practice.
More grounded.
It's way more grounded.
I think the Kundalini experience looks cool on camera, but then
it's fucked up.
It's like, what about, we still are in the 3D world. We still have to be in our body. We need to be able to access source, download, and then be in this world.
Exactly. So the way that I do it now is we move the energy up the body, but we clear the hips, clear the knees. We clear the energy up so that the vessel is clean and clear. Shaking, sound, tapping, and then as the body is clear, when we go into that state, Now you can call source in. You can start to receive because the body's more open.
Exactly.
And then I want them in that place of receiving for as long as fucking possible. Like, it's not about the release for an hour and a half. That's actually not healing at all. That's the prep for the healing. The healing is in the stillness. And we don't get it. But in the beginning of my healing journey, because I was so disassociated, I loved that high.
Yeah, but you know, and you know, I do like I try not to make other people wrong because I feel like everyone's on the right path and they meet it right where they need to. And if they need I think it all just works out. They come to what they need to come to. So I really try not to criticize what other people are doing because I feel like they're brought into it and they will find their way.
100%.
So I'm like, yeah, you know what? Like let them do that for a while and maybe that breaks something up so they find their way. So I never really feel like anything is necessarily wrong. It's just a
Wrong
different
timing or right timing or whatever
yeah,
it is,
just
right?
all works out.
And I wouldn't know how to do what I'm doing had I not fucked myself. I think every time I've gotten so fucked in my life so let's, my story, right? The trauma that I went through. It taught me how to disassociate.
Yeah.
Safety. That was a beautiful safety mechanism for a long time. Now, I missed out on a lot of my adult life chasing that high because disassociation was fun. Drugs. Sex.
I still love drugs and
rock
sex.
And roll.
And rock and roll. No, EDM more of it.
EDM,
yeah.
me too.
I still like all those
the
things.
festivals, right?
Because I'm a burner. Like, come on. That's like
same.
what we do.
And I think, what I started to notice was that perpetual chasing, that was just me running more.
Yeah, for sure.
And I'd rather my practice get me into my body so I find peace. And then I'll go get high. But my nervous system work doesn't need to make me higher and take me further away from myself, you know? And I do think that some of the practices here can do that.
I also respect that people are young on their journey of teaching too. And I remember when I first started teaching breathwork, I was so like, my ego wanted everyone to have this transformational experience. Like my ego wanted people to like freak out.
Yeah, because it was cool, right?
It was cool.
I'm like, wow, look what their bodies, I can play their body like a musical instrument. Whoop, yep, It's like, but now I just noticed that the integration piece after.
Yeah.
It was like people were losing their jobs and their partners and they were having all of these things coming up. And I was like, you know what, maybe this isn't the way. So I took a pause for a while.
Yeah, I think that's good. That's really good. And I agree, integration, look at yoga, 4-minute Shavasana.
It's not enough.
Why? What? My friend Ian Finn, he always says skipping Shavasana is like putting all the ingredients of a cake together and not putting it in the oven.
It's like the most important part.
It is, especially now.
With every person that's in there, you look at Canggu, no one's present. Everyone's in their heads, either 100 steps further along than they need to be in the day, or they're stuck in depression. And they're coming to these practices. This is where I think I started to have a little more attitude about it, was like people are coming to these classes because they feel shit. So don't make them feel more shit by taking them so far out of their body and then they can't land because they're not grounded. They're not here. So that's why I love, your practice of what you're doing. And in your classes, tell me about, the somatics that start it.
I do, I go low, activate, low, little activation, and then long, low. Long Shavasana. Like my Shavasana is like 30 minutes.
Good.
In my workshops. It's 30 minutes of rest, integration, space, time. Yeah.
Being in the body.
Be in the body.
With a mind that's not shh, because we've cleared it.
Exactly.
Because it's just trauma brain.
Yeah.
Do you believe in ADHD?
No.
Tell me.
I mean, I say no. I say there's no ADHD kids in the jungle. Put a kid in the jungle or put a kid out in the farm. They're not ADHD. They just need to be in nature. Nowadays, I don't know. Like, I don't know the science behind like the vaccines, what that does to the brain. Like, I can't say I understand that. Like, I don't know what that stuff does to kids these days. So I can't say if there's a direct correlation between the vaccine situation with children. But in a natural kid, no. Like, my kids have never had a single vaccine, and they never get sick. And my daughter hasn't worn shoes in 5 years. She still doesn't wear shoes. She's almost 11.
I'm obsessed with that.
She's connected with the earth. They're climbing trees, and I think that when kids have the opportunity to do those kind of things and they're in nature, the ADHD doesn't exist.
Because they're grounded.
Exactly.
And I think that's what the human experience is missing, is grounding, right? We keep trying to run and chase and do more, but in reality, if you actually look at the energy under most of the people, It's like this, you know? They need to ground,
Well, I mean,
connect.
screens are not helpful.
No. Or, hey, you're 5 years old, come and sit at a desk for 8 hours a day. But look at how easily controllable we get when we do that. We're teaching kids to be good. To be good, you need to behave. You need to follow the rules. It's done like that for a reason.
Oh, I know. That's why my kids don't go to school in America.
Yeah. What has it been like raising your kids outside of the U.S.?
It's amazing. I always wanted to. I always knew I wanted to live outside of America. It's great because you can put them in the schools that you want to put them in here. You can, they were in the Waldorf system, like a very similar, it was Waldorf system for the first few years. They just shifted out of that school. And I knew that was the right school for me when during COVID, we went to visit the school and the teachers had ayahuasca tapestries in their office. I was like, yep, this is the school for my kids. They get it. They know what's happening.
Mm-hmm.
And it was great because it's Waldorf is hands, head, heart. So it's all nature based. They don't have none plastic or anything that's not a natural material in their classrooms. So,
that's incredible.
Mm-hmm.
And how old were your kids when you transitioned them from the Western world to the Eastern?
5 and 8.
What was that like?
It was really hard because I was a mess. Like I was really a mess, like crying every day, like freaking out, I lost my income. And like for me, that was a big safety because I grew up so poor and I worked really hard to have a lot of money and money was safety to me. And all of a sudden not having that, I was a mess. And so they watched their mom crumble. And so it was a hard transition for them because we ripped them out of America and just boom, now you live in Indonesia.
Mm-hmm.
So for a year, it was rough for them, but they love it. Now I really want to have a house in Spain. I want to move into Europe for a part of the year. And my son's like, I'm not leaving Bali. Like he's like,
he loves it.
Yeah, he loves it here. My daughter will go with me because she's ride or die,
but yeah, that's amazing. And so the 8-year-old, when they were 8, they experienced at least a few years of the different schools. That's your son?
Yeah, he was in a Waldorf, a public Waldorf, so it was still state run, still federal run, so better than most schools. But I didn't like the system. I really didn't like the system, and what I had to do to keep my kids from being vaccinated in America was fucking treacherous.
Because they won't accept them in schools, will they, when they're not vaccinated?
No. 72 doses before they're 5 years old.
72.
Trump just took away the Hep B vaccine in hospital because kids get Hep B, which is a sexually transmittable disease vaccine. They get it the day they're born in a hospital. Why are we worried about that when they're a newborn? Why are we putting drugs into a new baby? I don't get it. And I'm not anti-vaccine. I'm really not. If the benefit outweighs the risk, I did vaccines when I went to India. I didn't know any better, but there are some things that I think could be important. I'm not saying I'm not I'm really not. It's just really, it has to make sense for me.
So no vaccines for your kids?
No, none.
None. I think my family thinks I've lost my shit that I'm going to have my babies here. They're like, you're going to actually have your children in Bali? And I'm like, yeah, at home. Water birth. Like, I'm not doing that. I don't want to go that way. Like, if you're losing your mind, what if something really bad happens? But I don't really believe in that fear anymore. Yeah. And with all of the stuff I'm learning now about, and I don't know if you've even seen, they have all this orgasmic birth stuff about if the amount of oxytocin.
Yeah, I tried that. It was not orgasmic. I had both my kids at home too, but yeah, it was not orgasmic. I read about that too. I was like, give me an orgasmic birth. That did not happen.
It didn't happen. Okay, cool. Because I'm preparing for that next chapter myself right now. And I'm like, you know what? I'm going to prove this well. But so the oxytocin part of it. But
that part I did experience. I mean, absolutely experienced the oxytocin in between. You're high as fuck.
Really?
Really, yeah. It was amazing.
And having the home birth, was that scary?
It was funny. I was 40 when I had my first kid and 43 and my second kid, both at home. And when I was pregnant with a child and I lost that baby, and so I got really scared, and so I was doing a birthing center and with a midwife and doctors. And when I went to visit the birthing center, I was 36 weeks pregnant. I was like, I cannot have my baby here. And I found a midwife at 36 weeks, which is 4 weeks before 40.
Moly.
Found midwife and had my baby at home. Okay. Because I was like, I couldn't be it just didn't feel right to me not to have the baby at home. It just doesn't feel right.
And how was the home birth for you? You're the first person I've had on here that's had a home birth.
We're designed to give babies. That's what every person on this planet is here because we did that. Like the woman is designed, we're designed to have children. That's what we do. We reproduce. We make babies. Can things go wrong? Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, there is a fear in that. I didn't have that fear. I had the fear that more would go wrong in a hospital than I did at home.
Well, especially coming from the pharmaceutical industry and seeing all the bullshit. That's kind of where I'm at. I'm like, I don't even know if I believe the statistics anymore. And especially now with AI, you can market anything. You can change anything now. So to me, the way I feel when I ask my soul, which is how I make all my decisions now, is my body giving me a yes? When I think about going to a hospital, I get that queasy no. And when I think about doing it at home, it's a yes to me. And I know I'm going to get so judged by all my friends, all my family, but
Judging
I don't
you anyway.
care. I know, right? You said you're really in your purpose. Tell me more about what that is, because you've gone from Midwest, following a passion, opening a yoga studio, losing everything, ending up in Asia, having kids, now co-parenting with your husband, living the dream, serving your purpose. So what is that? Because what a journey you've had.
I know. Life is so great, right? I mean, it's great right now. I'm sure there's be another fucking tidal wave coming at some point because life needs to happen. You know, in other words, you don't learn the lessons. At least it takes me a tidal wave to learn the lessons. You know, I really feel that the somatic practice is so needed, not just in Bali. And this is why I teach all over the world. I love going to, I was just in Croatia and Dublin teaching trainings, and I'm going to America because I feel like this is needed there, not just in Bali. Mm-hmm. And so every time I work with someone, the breath, the somatics, it knows what to do. I am not giving advice. I am not telling people what to do. All I do is give them techniques that bring them home to themselves. If you want to eat meat, eat meat. If you want to be vegan, be vegan. Listen to your body if that's what you need. Because we have different seasons in our life when I have no idea what you need. I don't even know what I need some days. But I know that when you release the stress and the trauma and you come back to a regulated self and your energy channels are open, you will know.
Because you have then direct access to your soul, right? And I think what we try to do a lot is, I always try to draw it like you got mind, body, soul, 3, right? When the mind and body are in alignment, which is after somatics, peace. And when you have peace in the nervous system, you can hear your soul. Without peace, all you hear is the ego, blah, 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 blah. You're wrong, you're broken, you're this, you're that. And it's like, get rid of that energy. What people don't understand is it's just energy.
Yes.
It's not actually you. You are not anxious. You have anxious energy running through your system. And anxiety, it needs movement.
Yes.
It just needs to move.
It's like we're a pressurized system. We have so much pressure. We don't know what to do.
And it's just running like this. And you're like, oh, and then I'm going to try to levitate. I'm going to try to meditate. And you're underneath the waterfall. Like, why can't I levitate? You know? And it's like anxiety equals movement. Now, for you and I who have that dissociative pattern, movement to stillness, we have to get to stillness. You can't just perma move, right? No. That's not good either. We move to the stillness.
But I'm pretty still. Like my favorite sound is silence.
It's the best. That's why I told you I love scuba diving. Nobody could talk to me under there.
Yeah.
Not even my own brain, because I was so present. What about somatics with depression?
It's the same. It's energy. It's just depressed energy. What we suppress becomes depressed. So it's just a suppression of who we really are.
And the movement helps them get that out of the system.
It's just, I'm telling you, like this, I don't understand. I was saying yesterday, like you can talk about the science, you can talk about the spirituality. I don't fucking know how it works. It just works. It just works. It goes to where it needs to go. The breath goes where it needs to go. The somatics releases what it needs to. It just works. It just works.
And what's your practice every day?
Well, I'm a gym rat still. Like I was at the gym doing pull-ups today, squats, deadlifts. So I love a really strong workout. So that's one of my practices because I love pushing heavy weights. To me, that's like a strength thing. I love that. But my own practice is somatics every day. Some sort of shaking, some sort of sound making. I meditate every night before I go to bed. Can always tell where my head's at or how long it takes me into my mind to quiet down. So
and you make sure you get there every night.
I meditate every single night.
That's
my daughter says to me, Mom, do you meditate every day? I was like, well, I'd say we'll go 90%. There might be some nights where I don't, but it's very rare. She's like, why? I'm like, so I can be better for you.
Right.
Because when my mind, and plus I can't go to sleep with my mind not being still. My mind needs to be still to go to sleep. Because I do run anxious. I do run anxious. Like that's
I think we're one of the two, everybody, right? You're
Yeah.
either going to be heavy or you're moving,
Yeah.
because it's fight or flight or it's that dorsal mode, right?
Yeah.
I don't understand this mode as much because I've actually I don't allow myself to get there because I just keep moving until I've moved so much that I'm so sick that I get stuck there. That's like my nervous system. But again, I've got abuse. So for me, the nervous system moves like that. So I don't necessarily understand that pathway as much as I was asking you. Yeah. But you treat them the same somatically. Like when you were depressed, the somatics was the same.
Same. You got to move it. Depression, you got to move it.
And it's just heavier, denser energy.
Heavy.
But is it still moving?
Well, it's not moving. You got to get it moving.
Yeah, so you got to force yourself to move.
Yeah.
And that's the painful part.
You don't want to move.
No,
but then once you start moving and then it starts like, you start to feel better.
Right.
And the same thing with anxiety. You got to move it out.
Got to move it out. Yeah.
Energy needs to be in motion. And emotions are just energy in motion. Right? Yeah. So we just keep moving them and a lot of the stuff that we have that were stored is before we were even born. If you think about it, 80% of all of our memories are stored in our fascia and the water in our body. Our water holds memory. When you were in your mom's womb, you didn't even have a thinking brain until you were at the 9th month. So everything your mother felt, you felt for 9 months, 8 months is in your fascia. This is generational stuff. So you don't even know what you're carrying. That's not even yours.
And womb work, because I do womb work now, we hold 7 generations of trauma in our womb space.
Well, that makes sense.
And moving through that, it's like now you have to think about what the last 7 generations went through: famine, war, poverty, all of that stuff. And we carry all of it. And especially being a woman with the womb, you carry even more.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So it's been wild.
And you can move it somatically. You don't even have to know what it is. That's the thing. Like people are like, I don't know what that was. I'm like, you don't have to
get out of the head. You're trying to. I understand why we do that because
we want to know.
The mind wants to make sense of what's going on. When in reality, the somatics, it's like your body knows what to do if you just get out of your head and let it move, right? But we're so embarrassed to move.
And make sounds.
And make sounds, especially like and I always teach people. I'm like, look, if you've got shame moving through the body, it may sound like an ugh. That's okay. Let that move because on the other side of that is pleasure. If you're holding on to all that, you're not going to feel the pleasure. If you're holding on to anger, you won't feel power. You got to let go of the stuff. And we run from those ones because I'm not angry.
Oh my God, that's my most favorite thing.
I'm not an angry person. I'm like, well, then are you powerless?
Yeah.
Because if you're not angry, where's your power? Because you got to be powerful enough to say no. And most people that aren't angry were abused. It's wild.
Yeah. And the nicest people are the most angry.
Yeah. Without anger, I was powerless. I was handing it away to everyone. I'm a recovering people pleaser because I had no anger. Once I finally became angry, I don't know if this happened to you, but I became like an electric fence. I was like the angriest. Anything. I was like, don't touch my energy field,
Yeah. No, I was always angry. My dad was angry. So I was embarrassed. It took me a long time to talk about my anger. One of the things that took me a really long time to talk about, people talk about being abused. I was an abuser. Because my dad was physically violent, like punching me in the face, like that kind of stuff.
Wow.
And I was always in relationships that were physically abusive. So I was duking it out with my boyfriends, but it took me a long time to be able to admit that and then I thought, wow, I wonder how many people are out there that are having that same problem that can't admit that too. So I started talking about that because I didn't know any better. I honestly didn't know. That's what I grew up. I didn't know any better. And I remember when I was with my doctor husband, he was abused, same thing. We were all physically violent. I was teaching yoga and I was physically violent with my boyfriend at home. We just looked at each other one day and were like, let's not do this anymore.
The trauma bond is real, right?
But we didn't.
From that moment on,
we just didn't.
Cold turkey stopped.
We stopped. And that's why I waited to have kids because I was so abused. I was like, I am not doing that to my children. I'm not bringing that in my children.
Mm. What was your relationship like with your mom?
My mom was great. I'm probably very similar to my mom. She was so fun. She was 4'11", tiny little thing, always screaming her head off, just being silly. But she's always like, don't listen to your dad. Do whatever you want to do. Just be you. She was really funny and she was great. She was really great.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Still close with her?
My mom and dad both died when I was 24.
Oh, wow. Mm. More trauma then. All at 24 years old, both?
Yeah.
And that was before you moved?
I was really young, yeah.
Yeah, that must have been really hard. Do you have any siblings?
I have 5.
Wow, okay. Did that help? Did you guys join
We
together?
were close together. I'm not super close with all of them. I have one sister that I'm pretty close with, but I'm the black sheep, you know. I'm like, they're like, why are you moving to California? Like, you know, California was already far from Cleveland. And then Bali, forget about it, you know.
Have any of them come to visit you?
Just one.
Oh, cool. Your sister.
Yeah, one of my
Yeah.
not the one I'm close with, actually, a different one. They cannot even imagine being on a plane that long.
Yeah, that's how my family is too. And it's funny, I almost just did a boxing fight, I was telling you, and at the end I had to be, when I asked, why are you doing this fight? I was like, well, my dad will come. And that's my big wound, because whenever I was abused, my dad came to save me, and I loved that. I love my dad. He's my favorite person in the world. So in order to get his love, which he loved, like this is the thing that we do in our brains, right? It's like, I don't see that he loves me no matter what. He was always at my soccer games. It wasn't that I had to be good, but I thought I had to be good, you know? And then with the saving thing, I was like, anytime I got into trouble, my dad was there, and he was like ready to kill someone. And I loved that. And it's like, but I don't have to create that anymore. And it's hard when you see your patterns. And I was like, you know, I've healed that years ago. And then here I am about to step into a boxing ring. My body's going into full fight or flight. Like, I don't want to do this. And I had to sit with myself in my practice and go, why am I doing that? And I was like, well, maybe my dad will book a flight to Bali. And then I'm like, oh my God, ew. I'm in my freaking program again. So
Program is strong.
it is so strong. It is so
And
strong.
the ego doesn't like to get caught.
And it's like, then you have to admit to yourself and laugh and be like, fucking got me again. I don't need to be saved. I've got myself. I'm good.
Yeah.
You know? And then I walked away from the fight, and all of a sudden Parasite was gone, and about 2 hours felt better, but it's crazy. And when you were moving through that phase of the anger, how did you move that through the body?
Gosh, how did I do that? I think it was my yoga practice at that time. And I was, again, I'm an athlete. So I was running, hardcore runner, like trail running in the foothills of California, 14 miles clipping, you know. So I would say running was probably.
That's amazing.
It's also a meditative thing. I don't run, since I moved to Bali, I stopped running.
For anybody that's watching this and questioning, you know, what is somatics? How would you define that to them?
I mean, soma just means body. It's just a body practice. For me, it's a marketing term. I would love to use another term, but soma is really popular right now, so people understand. Like, oh, I want to do somatics. We used to use the word tantra. Tantra was the way you worked through the body.
I
and
hate
yoga.
that word.
Exactly, because it got distorted.
It
wasn't like that 20 years ago. Tantra was in its pure form of working through the body, but now it's orgy.
Yeah.
So it's been distorted, and we
Come sit and stare into my eyes naked in a room with 400 other naked people, and afterwards we have sex. It's a very spiritual practice. We like to call it tantra. I'm like, that's not tantra.
So this is why I use the word somatics. Yeah, I use that word just because people understand it now. It's a big buzzword right now. I mean, it's what you use.
So is Kundalini.
Exactly.
It's not. I'm not.
I know
even
people are
running
like,
it.
do you know anything about Kundalini awakening? I'm like, ugh.
Yeah.
Okay. This is where we're at. But it's good. You know, hey, if it gets people interested, I'm excited about that.
I'll call it anything.
Exactly.
Right?
Like,
every single class of mine is exactly the same. Get out of the head into the body. Let the body move what it needs to move. Get to a place where you feel peace and allow the soul to communicate. It's the same shit in a different
package.
Inner child somatic healing, Kundalini activation healing,
yeah, it's
rest,
all the
reset,
same.
And restore. It's the same class, but it attracts different.
Yeah, we have to
people.
speak their language. I mean, that's our job as teachers, is to speak their language, not to speak our language.
If you were to talk to younger you, the younger you, so let's talk to both versions. So you, when you lost everything, what would have called you in? What was the thing you were searching for that you would have gone into for a program or a class? When you felt like you were broken and the depression was hitting and everyone was turning on you, what did you want then?
I don't know. I really can't answer that question.
Isn't it hard?
I don't know. I really don't know. I don't even know what brought me to the class that took me to the Himalayan Kriya. I was desperate. And I was desperate. I was like, desperation I'll try anything. You know, and I didn't want to turn to drugs and alcohol. I'm past that phase of numbing out. I use drugs and alcohol. I don't use alcohol, but I use drugs for fun, for exploration and for insights and things like that. I don't need to do it to check out. So I don't know. I really can't answer that. I think, you know, your soul knows what to do. Mm-hmm. And I've been very blessed to listen to my soul. I've been very blessed, like calling me to yoga, calling me to do therapy at a very young age. Like whatever it was, my soul is here for evolution. This I know, and I trust it. I don't know. I just don't even know how to answer that.
Yeah, and the calling is just enough to get you there. Because I think a lot of people are desperate and they just want to feel better. They want to feel, and I think what everyone's really chasing is what you just said, a connection to their soul. There's nothing better than that.
Because then you know.
And the inner knowing, it's truth. It's real truth, not the truth you're being sold with propaganda on the TV, not the news, real truth. A full body fuck yes is everything. And when you finally find that, and I don't think a lot of people have ever experienced that because they're so far out of their body. And once you finally access that full body yes, the soul permission yes, it's like, oh my God, I know the way. And I just got to keep finding my way back there. And when I get lost, I just got to get back to my soul. But how do you tell that to a normal person? Not a normal person. How do you explain that to somebody before we got to that point? Because you're talking about an experience they haven't experienced yet.
That's why we talk about stress. We talk about overwhelm. We talk about anxiety. We talk about burnout. Those are terms that I want to say the everyday person, but the people in, I'll say America, understand. We have to speak their language, which is burnout. Numb. Don't want to do anything. Lost their lust for life. Confusion. Anger. Yeah, I think those are the words that we need to speak for the people back in other countries.
And then it's like, just find a practice that gets you back to your body.
Most people back there don't have time.
How do we solve that problem? Like how quick, if you had, 10 minutes to spare, could you get through a somatic practice that quickly?
That quick.
See, that's what I'm talking about. So how do we teach that?
Well, I have a 5-day course online. You could do it.
There we go. Okay,
no,
so
I really do. I actually do have
about.
a 5-day course on how to heal your nervous system and become who you're meant to be. And it's meant for the home practice. And it really just teaches people to shake, to make sound, to tap their body, to just, again, release all the pressure out of the body, sit for a few moments, feel yourself.
And once you create space from your thoughts, like once you experience this space, it's just getting more of that, a little bit more space.
I use the analogy, if you ever go to an old house that has been abandoned and it has a dirty mirror in there, a mirror that hasn't been cleaned in a long time. The dirt on the mirror represents the stress, the overwhelm, the depression. It takes a lot to clean that mirror to be able to see clearly. When you touch your soul, you see clearly. You're like, fuck, I know what to do, right? Like there's a clarity there. It's just clear. You're just like, this is what I need to do. But when you have so much dirt on the mirror, you can't see clearly. Mm-hmm. So in the beginning, you probably have to do a lot of releases. That's why people come to Bali for time. They release, they do all the things. Then they can see clearly, I know what I need to do. But you got to keep the mirror clean.
Then you go back to your normal life. When this is the other thing, come to Bali, do all the healing, then you go back to life and it's
you got to keep the mirror clean.
Fuck.
You got to shake it off every day. You got to do whatever, the breath work, whatever the practice is. You find the one that lights you up. I give options, what feels so good for you? I don't you got to find what works for you, because I can say this is what works for me. But what lights you up? What makes you feel good?
And for you, one thing I've seen, so explain to me what the wild soul is all about.
Well, I like being wild. I'm a burner. I'm a burner. I go to sex clubs. I like wild things. I love adventure. I love to travel new places alone, meet new people. I believe our soul is wild. If we could be wild again, like my daughter, she's name is Moxie. She is wild. I let her be wild. I think we are wild. We are meant to live wild. So a wild soul is about coming back to that wild self. What would you do if you didn't give a shit about what people thought? How would you live your life? What would you say? What would you wear? How would you speak? How would you have sex?
If you didn't care what you looked like, how you sounded. It's interesting because I've been exploring that, but through, the way I look at it again, where I'm at in my process is through divine union, which is where I'm at in my process now. Because before I was a slut. And I felt no connection, no safety. So now I finally found safety with a partner. And it's interesting, exploring different things with one person for me. Mm. So I guess the wild part, I feel like that ruined me before. So now I'm I have one person that loves the shit out of me and I feel so safe and good. And now I can explore being wild in that. But for you, it feels different. So can you explain a little bit about that?
Well, yeah, I was a big slut too. Still am. But BDSM, you claim that part of yourself, all that part that you were ashamed of because you were slutty, because sex is pleasurable. Like we got a lot of pleasure out of sex, but we had shamed the fact that we wanted to have sex and have pleasure. Even if we weren't connected to the person, we still got pleasure out of it. So I say claim that slutty self. Own it.
The hard part for me is the children's side of it, that most kids that have gone through, again, this is me speaking to my own pain, yeah? But having been molested as a kid, what that did to my nervous system and how shamed I felt about that pleasure.
Exactly.
It took me on this crazy ride of giving myself away and hating myself through that process.
Exactly.
Hating. And then I had to come home and releasing that shame from my body. That was years.
Still happening. Years. You're not done.
No kidding.
I'm not done.
And it's like, but the more you release it, the more pleasure you can have. And so now when I do the yoni work with women, I actually go inside the vagina and release the trauma from inside, because women are numb from the amount of shame they're carrying in there. And the shaking, and that's not deep enough if you've been holding it internally. So it's like crazy. Like I literally can sit here, have a conversation and say, I finger my clients. And like, that's totally normal to me. Yet I still have so much from that experience where I guess today's weird, tomorrow's normal, right?
Exactly. I was molested too. And I think I always thought of myself as dirty and a slut. And then when you work BDSM and you can like call me dirty, call me a slut, and you own that part of yourself, I don't know. There's a reclamation for me. There was a reclamation for me in that part.
That's amazing. And you can orgasm now from all places.
I've always been able to orgasm. I've never had any
problems.
Mine
shut down.
Oh yeah,
no. From like going through it, I was like, I couldn't feel anything. I faked them all.
No, I never.
So I
really
had to find like a practice to figure that out. And I'm like, oh, well, now at least I know how to help other women through that. Not really something that I like to advertise, but
I did a women's retreat a couple of years ago when I was bringing people from California, and I had a guy who did yoni massages to all the women on the retreat.
A guy? So how do you feel about, so that would weird me out, probably from my trauma, but that would weird me out.
He's like one of the most he's the
safest guy.
Angel works through he's an angel.
And what
a masculine angel.
And what brought him to, so again, I would judge
doctor.
The shit out of that.
He was a doctor from the UK, went into medicine, realized it was total fucking bullshit, became a naturopath, practiced naturopath medicine in UK for 28 years, moved to Bali to retire and just kind of chill, and then just everything kind of led him into just different soul work and body work and stuff,
And he holds space. And it's interesting because I always think, again, everyone's going to be different, right? Like for me, if there was a guy that was going to be holding, I would be horrified because of what I've been through. But I can imagine, what if a woman was the person that had abused you, and you would need to see a man to feel safe too, it could be either way. Or you reclaim
that power of like trusting a man. There's many ways to look at it.
Yeah, it's so interesting, the perspective. I guess like just listening to it, I can feel in my own self where I still have work to do, And it's like, God, does it ever end?
Somebody asked me that, like, do you ever release all your trauma? I'm like, well, here's the thing. Release trauma, then go have a good time. Enjoy your life.
Yeah.
And then when you're ready, do it again. But don't get stuck in the work.
I can't stand it's so funny you say that, because when I was scuba diving last week, I kept hearing, heal so you can live. Start to play again. Stop making healing be the only thing. You're addicted to healing because you're addicted to the story that you're broken. You're not broken. You're fine.
Yeah.
You got out. You're safe. You have a great life. Yeah. Go have fun.
Exactly.
Like I don't want to just run a full trauma retreat anymore. Like let's do some trauma work, but let's go have fun. Let's go wine tasting. Let's go out. Let's enjoy ourselves,
Yeah, that's how I feel. I do this so I can have more fun, be more expansive.
So if people are looking to work with you and learn the somatics process, what stuff do you have coming up?
Well, I have the 5-day online course, which is really great for anyone at home, for home practitioners, anyone across the world who wants to have somatic release and have that in their practice at home. There's that practice. I have a teacher training coming up in Bali in end of January, Spain in April, so all over the world. So my main focus, I do workshops, I do classes, yes, I do that for my own self because I love to be with people, but my main mission is to train teachers. I train teachers. That's what I've done when I was a yoga teacher. I train teachers. I'm really good at helping people step up in front of something and face their fears and being an amazing teacher. I train really good teachers. It's just what I do. So I teach people how to teach breathwork and somatics. That's because then I know it's more of a global impact.
Now, what about if somebody was coming to you for healing themselves?
I do privates. I don't do a lot of them. anymore. I used to do a lot of privates.
Yeah.
I love privates. But my time and energy, like if I do too many privates, I'm not available for my children.
Yep.
I'll give all my energy
Totally
away.
understand that.
But I also have a hard time saying no because I want to help people. So I do some privates.
Yeah, I started limiting them as well because, again, you can make more of an impact in a group, but people love privates. But you're right. It's like, again, I only have so much time and so much capacity. And we got away from the 9 to 5 for a fucking reason. And then, now I'm doing this work and yeah, I can do 4 back-to-back 2-hour healings, but why?
Because we like to give. I like to give.
Yeah, I like to give, and I love my calendar busy. If I see a big pocket in there, I feel like I need to fill it with something, But it's like that stillness is good to go just sit at the beach.
Yeah.
But I agree with you. I think the one-on-one work, it's amazing. It's so powerful, but you can only do so much.
And I feel it's essential for practitioners to have a lot of one-on-one work because they will learn so much.
It's exactly where I'm at now. I will work with the teachers I'm training. I'll do one-on-ones with them. That's a part of the package. Mm-hmm. But I want them to then, to anybody that comes to me for healing, go see my teachers. They need to practice, right? Because I've been doing what I've been doing for about 5 years. So they can now get that work, and they need that work, right? And if somebody was watching this and they're just getting going on their journey and they're feeling depressed and stuck and everything's crumbling, they're a little mini you, what advice do you wish you could give to yourself back then?
Trust.
Trust what?
Trust the universe. Everything's happening for you. The phoenix will rise again. The crumble. Fucking embrace the crumble.
And in the crumble, if you could hold on to one thing, you're saying trust, but one practice would be somatics. In the crumble.
Yeah. 100%. Just the shaking. The shaking for me is just so, I don't know. It just does it for me.
I love it. Well, thank you so much for coming on. If you guys want to get to know Anne-Marie, I'm going to post everything in the show notes so you can get in touch with her, find her for training. She's amazing. Come to the Path and see her, or Nirvana. She does classes there. And thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you.
Wow, what a conversation. And if it resonated with you, it's likely because your body is ready for something deeper. Not more information, but more embodiment. And this is exactly the foundation of our Soul Path Mastery program, learning how to safely meet what's held in your body, your emotions, and your nervous system so that healing becomes integrated into your everyday life. And if you felt the pull towards the facilitator seat, towards holding space for others in a grounded, trauma-aware, embodied way, then our teacher training is where that path opens. This work isn't about fixing people. It's about learning how to listen to first yourself and then to others. All the details can be found in the show notes. Trust what's stirring and reach out.